Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, the Mad Kiker. I'm up here today, guys. I have a pretty fun, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this video. It's another list video. I'm going to be talking today about couch co-op and couch party games. Now, the way things are at the moment, a lot of people are playing online and stuff. But remember back in the day, before we had online, the only really way to play multiplayer was, have a bunch of people sat round and just playing some games and having a great time. I have some great memories, and a lot of the games here today I'm going to show reflect on those memories. So, with the way things going, things are starting to look a little bit better at the moment, and hopefully soon we'll be able to have these, game parties and stuff. If not, you've got families and things to play with. Before I start, I just wanted to mention I've got one new addition to the family for the PS4, and that is Batman, the animated series, or the Telltale series, sorry. It was just brand new on Amazon Prime for $9.99, so I thought, you know what, why not? I don't have this game physical. I have played a little bit of episode 1 digital on Xbox One, but I never went back to it. I got it new because it's the season pass disc, and I'm not sure if I've been told that the game, all of the only episode 1 is on the disc, but the rest of them download. But I weren't sure if they come in a download code or on the disc. I don't care how it comes, as long as I can play all of the episodes on this disc, it doesn't matter. The second game, however, is a little bit harder to find on Amazon. They don't have any new, so I'm a little bit skeptical about buying it secondhand. Let me know in the comments below, if I buy the Enemy Within physical, if I buy it secondhand, will I get all of the episodes on the disc, or will it download the extra episodes when I buy the season pass disc? I'll try this one, and if I know that it all downloads from the disc and I know that I don't need a download code, then I'll get the second one secondhand. But still sealed, brand new for $9.99, not a bad way to go. I only need about 3 more Batman games now to have all of the Batman games on PS4. I probably will get the Batman Arkham Collection, which comes with Arkham Origins, Arkham Asylum City and Arkham Knight as a 3-in-1, rather than buy Arkham. I think I have a copy of Arkham Knight anyway, but just so I'll get all of those games in a package. But yeah, anyway, let's just get straight into it. I've got a bunch of different games on a bunch of different systems, and bear in mind, I'm going to be focusing on games that you can play on the same TV with other people. Some of these games are 2-player, some of them are more. Variety of consoles, so how you play them is really down to you. But I had to start with wrestling games. It doesn't really matter which one you have. I've got 2K20 here just for show purposes. But a lot of wrestling games are really, really fun playing with other people. And the best part is a lot of these wrestling games could support up to 4 players. And there's wrestling games on N64, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, 3, 4, and so on. There's a wrestling game on almost every console. And these can be a lot of fun, just having a bunch of friends round, doing Royal Rumbles, ladder matches, elimination chambers. Even if you're not the biggest wrestling fan, you can still have a lot of fun with wrestling games because they're just a lot of fun. You can just mess around and, hopefully, beat your friends down. And you can really enjoy playing these games. And even with the modern games, like on 2K20, for example, you could do universe mode co-op in a way if you wanted to play against your friend or something and try to give that universe a bit extra challenge. But wrestling games deserve a place on this list. Another game that I had to mention are light gun games. Now, the one that I got here is House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return. Now, the light guns games are a little bit annoying if you play in like Time Crisis or something on PlayStation 2, because you need an old-fashioned CRTV. However, if you have a Nintendo Wii, there are a great selection of light gun games that don't require a CRTV because they use the sensor bar. And House of the Dead 2 and 3 is a great 2-player game. The third game, in my opinion, is my favourite. Love this game to pieces. There was also a standalone game called Overkill, which is really good. It's an original story. Story isn't great, but these games are fantastic. There's another one called Go Squad, which is really fun. These games have some great replay value because there's lots of unlockable things, extra modes to do. Really, really highly recommend light gun games. With another person, you can just have so much fun. It's like an arcade experience at home. Even if you want to go back a bit older, you have NES Zapper games and things like that. So yeah, a bit of everything. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some dancing games. Now, there's two kinds of dancing games. There's dance mat games like Dance and Stage Euromix or Dance Dance Revolution, as it's called in the rest of the world. Or there's games that don't require a dance mat, and that's the Just Dance series. Now, there are other versions. Now, these games aren't necessarily games. All they really are is dancing. The ones with the dance mats are the ones where you have to match the arrows. These ones are the ones where you just follow the on-screen instructions. The Wii versions tend to be probably the best one because you don't need to use a mobile phone. And sometimes you don't need a camera or anything like that. But any dancing game, these games can be really fun with a friend or something. Dance mat ones are a little bit harder to come by because the dance mats are a little bit more expensive nowadays. And they take up a bit more room. But I highly recommend dancing games with a friend because you can just have a lot of fun. Even if you've got a party of people around, Just Dance is a really, really fun way to just have a dance, have a laugh, a couple drinks and just, go crazy, I guess. And there's tons of different dance games. There's Michael Jackson, Black Eyed Peas ones. Dancing games, although they're not amazing games, they're just a bit of fun. And speaking of a bit of fun, I had to mention one of my all-time favourite Wii games, Rayman Raving Rabbids TV Party. Now, the Rayman Raving Rabbids series is part of a party series. Now, the Wii has a ton of party games, and I could go on forever talking about all the party games. But Rayman Raving Rabbids TV Party is probably my favourite of the bunch. You could use the Wii Fit board as well if you wanted a bit more in-depth experience. But what I loved about this game, you can have up to 4 players, and it's all based around like their own TV shows. And it's really wacky, it's over the top, it's just so much fun. And, you can really customize how you want to play this. Do you want a short game with 5 or 6 rounds, or do you want a long game? Really, really fun game. This game will tire you out at times, especially when you're doing the ones where you have to do that. It's just a lot of fun. If you're just looking for something with a bunch of friends or family, you can just have a lot of fun with this game. It's not realistic. It's not realistic. It's just over the top fun. Definitely worth checking out. Now, there are other Rayman Rabbids games out there, but I think TV Party is the best one because it has the most mini games. And I had to mention the WarioWare games. Smooth Moves is often considered to be one of the funner games. Now, this one only says 1 player, but you can actually play this game in a hot seat mode where you give the controller to another person. But there are other WarioWare games out there, like on GameCube. I think there was one on Wii U, and there might be one coming out on Switch. These games are just micro games. They're just something so simple like balance the thing on your hand or drop your controller or something like that. The games last a couple of seconds, but it's really fast paced, really fun to be had. And if you've got some friends around, you're gonna have a good time. I also forgot to show off Cooking Mama as well on the Wii. That is a really fun game to play with someone else. Just cooking and challenging each other. The Wii does have a great selection of party games, and I highly recommend the Wii if you're a family person or a party person. It is a fantastic console. The games aren't amazing, but they are just a bit of fun. They're nothing too special in terms of game as a gamer, but if you are one of these people that like to have a bit of party fun, the Wii is a great way to go. I also wanted to mention 007 GoldenEye. Now, I have the Xbox 360 version here, but you can play up to 4 players. Of course, everyone knows the classic Nintendo 64 GoldenEye. But I wanted to mention most James Bond games. One of my all-time favourite ones was Nightfire. I couldn't find it in my thing, so it might be at the back somewhere. But James Bond games, although they're not the best first-person shooters in terms of controls and stuff, and they're not as good as, say, Call of Duty or something. These games are fantastic multiplayer games. I remember playing Nightfire on Xbox on GameCube back in the day, having a blast with it. Just be aware that a lot of these James Bond games, although they may not have the best campaigns and stuff, some of them are pretty good as a single player game, but the multiplayer is where these games lie. If you have some friends around, play some James Bond games, whether you're playing the original GoldenEye or Nightfire or something like that, definitely check out some of the James Bond games. They have some great multiplayer. I also wanted to mention another kind of music game, and that is the Guitar Hero series. I also thought I'd show off, talk about Rock Band or Singstar. Any music game that isn't a dance game is worth playing with some friends, especially if you have the full set. You know, someone on drums, someone on the keyboard, or the two bass guitar, main guitar, someone singing. You can really have your own rock band in your own house. Any Guitar Hero game or karaoke game, these are great for party games, because the thing about these games is, even if you've never played a game before, everyone knows how to sing. If you can sing or not, it doesn't matter, because we all do a bit of karaoke when we go on holiday or at the pub or something. And you can do that in your own house nowadays. And you know, if you are one of these people that aren't a gamer but you do like a bit of karaoke, pick up a PS2 and get a bunch of the Singstar games, because they're dirt cheap and you've got your own karaoke machine at home, basically. But guitar, if you want to take things a bit further and have an instrumental, peripheral-based game, definitely check out the Guitar Hero series or Rock Band. I also wanted to mention the Smash Bros series as well. I don't have any physical copies of Smash Bros, unfortunately. I do need to hunt them down. Smash Bros is a fantastic game. I could also show off a game like it called Digimon Rumble Arena. These games are really fun. Anything like Smash Bros, these all-star games, you know, you just have up to 4 players, sometimes even more. Really fun games. There's a multiple Smash Bros games from the N64, GameCube, Wii U, and even now on the Nintendo Switch, and also one on the 3DS. Definitely worth checking out the Smash Bros series. Really fun games, and you can just have a laugh with them and do some crazy stuff. But in a similar vein, I had to put at least one Mario game on here, and I have Super Mario Bros. U with your Luigi U here. And these games are really, really good for families. They're platform-based games. Of course, Mario games are some of the most noticeable games and recognizable games in today's society. Everyone knows who Mario is. If you don't know who Mario is, then what you've been doing with your life. But definitely worth checking out any of the Mario games. Most of the modern Mario games have up to 4 players, sometimes even more than 4 players. And these are great for families because you can just have a lot of fun with them. And if you like this, definitely check out Rayman Legends on Xbox One or Switch or PS4, because Rayman Legends is very similar to Mario. Really fun party platformer game. Now into the different kind of spectrum. If you are into fast-paced zombie shooters, I had to put Left 4 Dead back on here, because although this game is online and you know you can play it online, I remember playing this game split screen a lot back in the day. Left 4 Dead is a fantastic example of a game that doesn't do too much, and it's just a great example of sometimes just doing the bare minimum is enough. This game isn't over the top in terms of how much you can unlock and stuff. In fact, there's nothing you can unlock. It's very basic. It's just a simple concept, getting from point A to point B, sometimes having to, you know, hold off here. You maybe have to pick up some things and put it somewhere else. And these games are absolutely mentally amazing games. These are so fun. It doesn't matter if you play the first or second one. I recommend the second one because it's got a few more bits and bobs in there. If you've got a PC, modding is even better, but I recommend the Xbox 360 version because you can play it to play a co-op split screen. Really, really, really fun and exciting game. Another game actually I'll do my honourable mentions at the end. Another kind of concept that actually a lot of people might laugh at is actually board game video games. I have Monopoly here on PS1. Believe it or not, I used to play this quite a bit as a kid. Now we all know board games, Game of Life, Monopoly, Trivial Pursuit, quiz games, any like quiz or board game. You think, why do you need to do a video game version of that? Now, believe it or not, these games can be really fun, and sometimes, you know, with Monopoly and board games, when you're playing them at home and a board game, sometimes people might get frustrated, or, you know, people might have to go or something, you know, and sometimes you set it all up and then you play for half an hour. But the thing is, with the video game versions of these board games or card games, or, you know, quiz game, TV show, game show, video games, you can have a lot of fun with these. And the best part about most of these board game video games is, especially with the older ones, is you don't actually need more than one controller. It does a thing called a hot seat system, where you only have one controller and you take your turn, and then you give that controller to another player and they take their turn, because it's all turn based, you see, so you don't need to worry about having more than one controller. And it's a great option for people that don't have, you know, these 4-player consoles, or, you know, with like the PlayStation 2 or PS1, where you need to have that adapter for 4 controllers. So I definitely recommend playing some board game video games if you're just looking for something a little bit more chillaxed, but you can have a lot of fun with these, and there are so many out there. Almost every console has some sort of video game version of a board game or TV show quiz. Knew that was going to happen. I also want to mention puzzle games. Games like Tetris. I talked about Bust a Move the other day. These games can be great party games. Normally they are just 2 players. Some of them have more than 2 players with the modern version. These are just great examples of fun games that, even if you're not the hardcore gamer, you know, you could give this to your mum or your aunt or your nan even, or sometimes, or your younger brother or sister. And, you know, you just tell them all you got to do is slot the blocks down, and there you go. These games can get quite competitive at times, but you can have a lot of fun with these. Maybe have some tournaments. Definitely worth checking out. I'm sorry I had to bring it back up, Timesplitters. Timesplitters, whether you're playing the first or second or third one, I say the second or third one. First one's a little bit dodgy at times, but these games are excellent co-op games. They have great campaigns to do in co-op, but where the playability really lies is in the multiplayer. Kind of a bit like the 007 games. These games are just so much fun to be playing with multiplayer. You can really customize what you want to do and have so much fun with them. I highly recommend this game as a multiplayer game. Even it's great as a single player game, don't get me wrong, but multiplayer, if you've got someone to play this with, whether you want to play against them or with them, definitely check out the Timesplitters series. Another game that uses that sort of hot seat system I was on about is called Worms. Now, Worms is on everything. I think Worms has been around for a long time. And I remember playing a lot of Worms on PlayStation 1 back in the day. And what's great about Worms is it's a simple concept. It's a turn-based strategy game almost, where you have these little worms, and all you've got to do is, you know, kill the other players, basically. And it's a turn-based system, and it uses that hot seat, hot controller system that I was talking about, where you only need one controller. You can change it and have more than one controller if you prefer. But these games are excellent, fun games. They're just over the top. You can get frustrated with them, but you know the fact that you can have up to 4 players playing these games on one controller, that just goes to show that these games are excellent party games, excellent fun games. Just have a lot of fun with them. And there's modern versions if you don't have the older system with online capabilities and things. But most of the Worms games have offline modes that you can play with one controller. It's kind of a weird one that I wanted to mention. It's called Dodgeball. Now, there are some pretty fun out there sports games that aren't realistic in any way. that can actually be really fun party games, and you can really have a lot of fun with them. I'm sorry, I'm just looking for one more that I've got here somewhere. Now, where is it? I apologize for this. I did have it somewhere. I know I have it. I brought it not long ago. Oh, there it is. And like I said, another one is Smash Court Tennis. There's also games like this one's really fun. I highly recommend it. There's games like Everybody's Golf, the Mario Golf games, the Mario Sports games. Non-realistic sports games are excellent co-op or versus games, and you can really have a lot of fun with these, because if you're not a massive sport fan, you know, like you're not a massive tennis fan, like this game is really arcadey. Same with the Mario games. You can just have a lot of fun with them because you don't need to like the sport to play it, because we all have an understanding on how football's played or basketball's played or tennis is played or dodgeball's played. But sometimes we just want a fun arcadey experience with power-ups and over-the-top gameplay, and there are a majority out there for you guys. There's so many of them that I highly recommend some of the non-realistic sports games like the NBA Playgrounds or NBA Jam, for example. Definitely worth checking out. Another game series that I want to talk about is the PlayStation 2 era of Sims games. Now, these games aren't necessarily party games, but you can have a lot of fun with the co-op on these games. Now, in some of them, like Sims 2, you can do a campaign co-op, but in most of them, you could do just a normal two-player free mode, you know, where you have your house and you live like normal. And these are actually pretty fun co-op games. You can just go crazy with them. You can just really do what you want with them. I just thought I'd mention some of the PS2 Sims games. The Herbs is probably the better one to play co-op. I had to mention Star Wars Battlefront 2. The first one is just as good as well, but Star Wars Battlefront 2 is an excellent two-player game. You know, you could really, you know, you could play through the campaign co-op, or you could just do the multiplayer, you know, set up an instant action, or do the Galactic Conquest mode, which is a really fun mode where you could play in co-op or versus. Even if you're not a massive Star Wars fan, you can still have a lot of fun with this game. Of course, we have the second game out now, the new version, which is a great game in its own right. But I thought I'd mention Star Wars Battlefront 2. And you kind of guessed this one was coming. It's the Lego games. A majority of Lego games are excellent co-op games. You know, these games can be just so much fun. You don't need to have, you know, a hardcore gamer. You know, you could play this with your 5-year-old daughter or son or your mum or something. You know, these games aren't over the top. They're nothing crazy. Well, they are kind of over the top in some senses. They're just a bit of fun. Lego games are great for people of all ages, you know, and they have some great co-op modes on them, and sometimes even a few versus modes. A few honourable mentions that I want to talk about. A Way Out on Xbox One and PS4 is a massively amazing co-op game. It's all plays in split screen. You can play online or you can play co-op split screen, and it's just basically a really well story-driven two-player game, and it's done in a really good. It's done in a really interesting way, because you think when you were playing online you would have the full screen, but no, it's completely split screen the whole way. Definitely one worth checking out. I also wanted to mention Man of Medan. In a similar sense to A Way Out, you do have the single player mode, but you have a couple of other modes. You have co-op mode, which you can play with someone online, of course, and you don't know what they see and they don't know what you see, because they might go off and do something and then you might go off and do something, and you sit there and you talk to them like, oh my god, what did you just see, or something. Really fun game, but it does have an interesting mode called Hot Seat mode, which is basically where every person, you have a room full of people basically, and I think they get assigned a character. And there's 5 or 6 characters in the game you can that are in the game. So when you're playing as that character, you'll give it to another person. And I think, I think that's how it works. Or it might be something different, like if they mess up, they're out of the game basically. So that's just one I thought I'd mention if you're looking for something a little bit more scary. There is the Little Hope game coming out as well, which is the sequel, prequel, whatever, to Man of Medan. It's going to be part of an anthology, so I'm looking forward to that one. Going to be doing a stream of that anyway. But anyway, I just thought I'd do a small overview of some games that I'd recommend playing co-op or party games. There are so many more out there, you know. I could do another video on this as well in the future, you know, who knows. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Something a little bit different here. If you did, feel free to leave a like and, of course, comment below. Let me know some of your favourite multiplayer games. And like I said, I was trying to focus on games that you could play in the same household, not online games. A majority of the games that I do have shown, some of them do have online or did have online. But, of course, we wanted to take a trip to the past today. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already and join the family. Thank you to all the new subscribers, commenters and likers. Really great to see everyone coming in. I will be streaming tonight at 7 o'clock on Mixer, playing some more Overwatch. I'm glad classic competitive is back. No more waiting 20 minutes for a DPS match. 30-second wait straight into a game. It's not perfect, but it will do. So feel free to join in there. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Mad Kiger. And if you guys want to join in tonight with Overwatch, just leave me a message or something, or comment on my post or something, and we might be able to play some Xbox One though. Of course, guys, as always, have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and bye bye.